And good morning and welcome to Bob Pearl Field for Game 3 of the three-game series between the University of Iowa Hawkeyes and the Minnesota Gophers in Big Ten softball. Iowa comes in with a record of 18-17 overall and now just 1-7 in the Big Ten, and they're in a three-way tie for 12th place with Rutgers and Michigan State, all with 1-7 records. And Minnesota comes in a four-way tie for 7th place with Michigan, Penn State, Indiana. Penn State, Michigan, and Indiana, Minnesota all in a four-way tie for 7th place with 4-4 records. Minnesota overall at 17-15-1. Iowa, Minnesota have split the first two games of this series. Minnesota winning yesterday 5-2 in fairly ideal softball playing conditions with temperature right around 60 degrees and a wind out of the west-northwest at anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, but it was a very pleasant day. But a 5-2 win for Minnesota. They jumped up to a 2-0 lead in the second inning. The Hawks would score a run in the bottom of the third. They would score a run in the bottom of the fifth inning to tie the game. It went to extra innings, and one extra inning, Minnesota scored 3 in the top of that eighth inning. A 2-run home run off the bat of Megan Dre and a solo home run from Sarah Kinch were the deciding factors in that win for Minnesota, in which Autumn Pease picked up the win. She now 10-8. Brianna Vasquez took the loss. She went all 8 innings, and she is now at 6-9. In Game 1 Friday night, it was Minnesota having a big lead, 8-2 after 1.5 innings. Iowa would score 2 in the bottom of the second to make it 8-4, and it was scoreless for the next 2 at-bats for each team. And then Iowa would get 1 in the bottom of the fifth and 4 in the bottom of the sixth inning, and 3 of those came off the bat of Kalena Burns on a 3-run home run that gave Iowa the 9-8 lead. It was her second home run of the game. She had hit a 2-run home run back in the first inning, so she doubled up on home runs in that game, helped that Iowa Hawkeye team win 9-8. The winning pitcher was Devin Greer. She came in relief of Denali Lecker. Greer went 5 1/3 innings. She's now 3-3, and Emily Levitt is the one who picked up the loss for Minnesota. She at 7-7. So now it's game number 3. Had a chance to talk to head coach Renee Gillespie here just a few moments ago about heading into this softball game. Getting ready for game number 3 of the three-game series between the Minnesota Gophers and the Iowa Hawkeyes, and Hawkeye softball head coach Renee Gillespie standing by here. And Coach, it really is interesting how the flow of the game changes, from game to game, day to day. Friday night was a 9-8 come from behind win. Yesterday was a 5-2, kind of a squeeze down type of game. But is that something that players, coaches get used to?
Yeah, I don't know that you want to get used to that, but I think you look at where the momentum is on the game, and everyone talks about momentum, either speeding up the momentum, keeping the momentum on your side, or being able to slow it down if the other team has that. And we've been working to try to keep that momentum on our side. You saw a few times yesterday we're calling timeout. If they had a big hit or we had an error, we'd call timeout, would slow it down and get them back on pace. And that's really the basics of what you're seeing. We get opportunities, we get the momentum on our side, and then we lose it by a bad base running decision or a strikeout, and then the momentum shifts. So as long as we can get the momentum on our side, we're in good shape.
Has consistency then still been one of those issues that you're really trying to maintain or develop?
Yeah, it is a development. Just being disciplined to be on each pitch and being in that moment, and that is a discipline. We have a tendency to be looking at a bigger picture than what we should be. So as a defensive, you should be focusing on the pitcher's release point, watching it track in, seeing it hit off the bat, and being ready for that ball to come to you. And I think our vision is a little wide right now, and we're focusing on being able to narrow that vision down. Once you have that, then you have the disciplines of being able to react off the bat, being able to make those sharp decisions.
Was Minnesota pitching much different yesterday than Friday night?
No, I think we were just a little bit more aggressive with balls out of the strike zone. That's part of the discipline too, is being consistent on how we go to the plate, what we're looking for, being able to hit those pitches in the strike zone. And yesterday we were really swinging a lot of pitches outside the strike zone.
So you got a game win Friday night, game loss yesterday, a tight ball game. So that really could lend itself for this Iowa Hawkeye softball team to maybe bust loose a little bit.
Yeah, this game's in anyone's hands right now. It's a good Minnesota team, good hitting team that we saw. We've got 3 pitchers ready to go today, so we'll be able to make that shift pretty quick if we need to. And it's just for us being able to take opportunities when we see it. We had base runners on yesterday. Not that many base runners, but when we did, we had them in scoring position and didn't come up with those clutch hits that we needed to. So it's taking advantage of what they're giving us and being able to shut down their offense a little bit more, not giving up double bases if it's a single hit. So we'll just have to take care of business today.
All right, Coach. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Jerry.
That is head coach Renee Gillespie heading into this 3rd game of the 3-game series with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. It's really a huge ball game for the Hawks. Obviously, their goal at the end of the season is to get into that Big Ten Conference tournament. They certainly need to be one of the top 12 teams right now. They're in a 3-way tie for 12th place with Michigan State and Rutgers. But they've got some, they're running out of opponents, and they need to win this game and hopefully at least split with Nebraska on Tuesday and win 2 of 3 against Ohio State next week and get a little bit of momentum and then take on the rest of the Big Ten as they go into the later stages of their season. After Ohio State next week, they head to Illinois. Then they'll play Iowa State on the 26th, Northwestern the last weekend and first day of May, in the Northern Iowa on May 4th, and then they have Purdue right here at home. Let's go to our public address announcer, Kelly Neff, and we will have our national anthem.
The national anthem is Kelly Parsons.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Enough inspiration to get you ready for college softball today. The Hawkeyes and the Minnesota Gophers in game number 3 of the 3-game series. It started Friday night with Minnesota Iowa winning that game 9-8, coming from behind to win that game, and then Minnesota won yesterday's game by the score of 5-2 in 8 innings. Here's the lineup for the Minnesota Gophers. Lauren Espelin will begin it. She's a designated player. Batting first, Ellie Jensen playing left field. Batting second, Natalie Den Hartog, who has actually been 0 for 8 coming into today's game. Certainly don't want to see her explode at the plate because she certainly is capable of doing that. Batting third, playing center field. Chloe Evans is batting fourth and playing right field. Sydney Strelo at second base, batting fifth. Megan Dre is the first baseman. She's batting sixth. Sarah Kinch behind the plate has a couple of home runs this series already. She's batting seventh. McKenna Dowell playing shortstop, batting eighth. And Kayla Chavez is batting ninth, and she is the third baseman. Emily Levitt will get the start again today, as she did yesterday, facing the Hawkeyes, and she also pitched in Friday night's game. The Hawkeyes will counter with Brodie Klosterman at center field, leading off. Nia Carter playing right field and batting second. Tristan Doster, the catcher, she's batting third. Kalena Burns will be in the cleanup spot playing first base. Marissa Peak playing today, the designated player, batting fifth. Sophia Maras will move up to the sixth spot today, playing second base. Grace Baines at shortstop, the sophomore, batting seventh. Amber DeSena is the eighth batter in the lineup. She's playing third base. Zoe Schulte getting a start today out in left field. She's batting ninth. And Denali Lecker in the circle for the Hawks to begin today. Denali comes in with her 10th start. It's her 26th appearance. Has thrown 96 in the third innings, given up 96 hits, 65 runs. 43 of them have been earned, giving her a 3.12 ERA. She's walked 26 and struck out 52. And we're ready for pitch number one from Denali. And there it is to Lauren Espelin, and it's ball one. Now the wind today is now out of the east-southeast, so it's blowing from right to left. Friday's game and yesterday's game had winds out of the west-northwest, but Friday was 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 40. Yesterday was about 10 to 20. Here's the 1-0 that Espelin takes a good cut at and misses. So she's even in the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. But the temperature here in Iowa City at game time, 60 degrees with sustained wind now at 25 miles per hour out of the east-southeast. And the 1-1 now becomes 2 balls and 1 strike. So anything hit out to left field can get pushed and carried by that wind out of the south and southeast, blowing from right to left at Bob Pearl Field today. But a sunny sky, and we'll take it and play with it in the 60-degree weather. Here's a 2-hopper right to Sophia Maris. And the first out of the top of the first inning recorded on a put-out from Sophia Maris to Kalena Burns. Marissa Peak in the lineup here today for the Hawks, as I talked about. Marissa last played in the Maryland series in game number 2. Did not play against Drake and has not played in the first 2 games this weekend. Ellie Jensen to the plate, the left-handed slap hitter. Three for 7 in the series. Here is the 0-1 tour. That's down and away, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Jensen at .348, 23 hits and 66 at-bats coming in to this game. A couple of doubles, 8 RBIs. Bases are clear, 1 out. Minnesota's top of the first inning. Denali Lecker in the circle. Here is the 1-1 bunted right back to Denali. Cover at first base by Sophia Maras as Kalena Burns charging down the line, and well-executed play by the Hawks to get out number 2 in this top of the first inning. It does bring up Natalie Den Hartog. As I talked about, she has been quieted this entire weekend. 0 for 8 coming into today's game. She has scored 1 run, but Iowa's been able to keep her bat quiet, although yesterday was a controversial foul ball call that half the crowd thought was a home run out to left field, and the other half was glad it was called a foul ball. And I'll let you decide which half is credited with which opinion. She's up in the count of the ball and no strikes. Here is the 1-0 to Natalie Den Hartog. .336 hitter coming into today's game. 38 of 113. 6 doubles, 14 home runs. She's the career-leading home run hitter for Minnesota. Here's the 2-0 from Denali Lecker. One that is down and in. 3 balls and no strikes. The infield actually playing about a half a step in, trying to knock down anything that gets hit on the ground. And here is the 3-0 pitch. This now becomes ball 4.
Number 6, right.
So Natalie Den Hartog reaches on a base on balls. And for Denali Lecker, that is the 27th time she has walked to batter this season. The sophomore out of Ogden. So with 2 outs, it brings up Chloe Evans. Cleanup hitting right fielder, the left-hander. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker. Chloe, a .333 hitter with 33 hits and 99 at-bats. 8 doubles, and she's got long ball potential. 6 home runs. 32 runs batted in. Leads the team in RBIs. Ahead in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Lecker. Pitch that's hit down the first base line and foul. She got around on that pitch and pulled it foul. So the count will be even at 1-1 on Chloe Evans. Evans, a sophomore from Seymour, California. Here is the 1-1 that is released a little bit late by Denali Lecker. Nice job by Marissa Peak behind the plate to get up out of that stance and go get it. Oh, really? So a 2-ball and 1-strike count on Evans. Here's one that she'll lift up into the outfield, pushing Bridie Klosterman back at the wall. And Chloe Evans gets one up into the wind and hits it out of the park. And it's a 2-run home run for her to give Minnesota a 2-0 lead right away in this first inning, first at bat. She got it up into the air, got enough on it, pushed Brodie Klosterman back to the wall, and she just watched it bounce in the basket where the camera would normally sit out there when they're at full camera strength. And covering these games for Big Ten Network Plus and as well as the Big Ten Network. But the most important thing is a 2-0 lead for Minnesota. So for Chloe Evans, that is her 7th home run, her 33rd and 34th RBI. And she continues to lead Minnesota. Sydney Strelo now at the plate, a .250 hitter. Strelo 2 for 5 in the series. 1 for 3 yesterday. Here is the 0-1 that now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. You can hear the wind blowing into the field, Mike. It's coming right through the windows here at the press box from right to left. Here is the 1-1 that Denali Lecker will lose control of and roll across the plate. Today is Strikeout Cancer Pink Game Day. Hawkeyes in their black jersey and wearing pink baseball socks. And now a meeting in the mind as head coach Renee Gillespie heads out to the circle to talk to Denali Lecker and some other Iowa sports. The Iowa baseball team, how about this? This Iowa baseball team, they won the first game of a doubleheader yesterday against the Fighting Illini, 4-2, Illinois leading the Big Ten. Game 2 started at approximately 4:45, didn't end until almost 10 o'clock last night. It went 13 innings. Illinois won it 7-5. It was 5-5 through 9, and then Illinois scored twice in the top of the 13th to take the 7-5 lead and the win. Game 3 is getting underway this afternoon at 1 o'clock. So a 2-1 count on Sydney Strelo. Here is the pitch that she hits out into right center field, and Brodie Klosterman will get up underneath this one and make the catch. Minnesota gets a couple of runs, a 2-run home run for Chloe Evans to take a 2-0 lead on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Coming to bat with Brodie Klosterman to lead it off for the Hawks when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition for those who are Iowan through and through. We're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
As I mentioned, the baseball team playing today, they playing their 3rd game against Illinois. Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Thank you, them, for being a part of our Hawkeye softball broadcast all season long. After today's game, the Hawkeyes will head out to Lincoln, Nebraska for a doubleheader on Tuesday. And then the Hawks will be home next weekend to host the Ohio State Buckeyes. So really, this game is key. The next 5 games are really key for this Iowa softball team. A good softball team, a young softball team, developing, still learning the ropes about playing at this level. They've shown signs of life, signs of superiority, if you will. But not often enough, and I know that's what I talked to head coach Renee Gillespie about, is the consistency that's needed to get to that level. Brodie Klosterman will start it off for the Hawks, and she'll look at a first pitch ball. Brodie 1 for 4 yesterday. She's ahead in the count here at 1 ball and no strikes. Emily Levitt in the circle. Here's one that just brushes her on the right elbow, and she is headed down to first base after being hit by a pitch. And for Briley, that is the 4th time that she's been hit by a pitch. Nia Carter now will step to the plate for the Hawks. Nia Carter, a .434 hitter. Here's one that she tries to bunt and bunts it foul. .434, 46 hits and 106 at-bats for the junior from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Been a good hitter for the Hawks in 3 seasons with them. Here is the 0-1 tour that she'll hit down the left field line, but it'll go foul. Got a runner at first in Brodie Klosterman. Hawks trailing by the score of 2-0. 2-run home run for Minnesota. Top of their first inning gives them a 2-0 lead. Now Nia Carter is down in the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch from Emily Levitt, one that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 from Emily Levitt. Here's a pitch that Nia rips down the third base line, picked up nicely by Chavez. They get the force at second on Klosterman, but they can't turn the double play. They've already turned 2 double plays this weekend, but they cannot get the double here. A line shot right down the third base line, but Chavez was playing it beautifully, scooped it on the hop, and was able to force Brodie Klosterman at first base. So it brings up Tristan Doster. Doster batting third today, not behind the... She is behind the plate today. Tristan wearing number 17 today. She bounces between 17 and number 2. She's in 17 today. Here is the 1-0 that she'll lift down the right field line. Will it drift foul? It does. It's right into the teeth of that wind out of the east-southeast. Not much is going to go out in that direction. And that'll take quite a shot to get it there. Tristan batting .324, 22 of 68 at-bats coming into today's game. 1 for 3 in yesterday's game. Here's the 1-1 tour that's up and away. Emily Levitt, making her 18th start, 27th appearance, has thrown 102 innings, 136 hits she has allowed, 87 runs, 77 of them earned, has a 5.28 ERA, walked 65, struck out 77. Here's the 2-1 to Tristan Doster. Upstairs on her. Doster is 2 for 7 in the series, has 2 runs batted in. Here is the 3-1 that she swings at and misses. Tristan was 1 for 4 with a couple of RBIs in that game number 1. Hawks with Nia Carter at first base and 1 out. 3-2 pitch from Levitt outside, ball 4. So Tristan draws the walk. Her second of the season.
Number 50, first baseman, Helena Burns.
And for Levitt, that is her 66th walk on the season. It brings up Helena Burns. Burns on Friday, a couple of home runs. She hit one off of Autumn Pease. She hit one also off of the freshman Emily Levitt, who's in the circle right now. And she's ahead in the count on Kalena Burns. No balls and 1 strike. 1 out. Iowa's bottom of the first. 2-0 Minnesota. Runners at first and second. Here's the 0-1 to Kalena. Called strike 2. So Levitt came in to pitch in the bottom of the 4th inning on Friday and would eventually give up the 3-run home run to Kalena Burns that gave the Hawks the 9-8 lead and eventual win. She's up in the count now on Kalena. No balls and 2 strikes. 1 out. Here is the pitch. Outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. On Kalena Burns. Burns with a .259 average, 21 hits and 81 at bats. She 1 for 3. 3 for 6 in the series and 5 runs batted in with those 2 home runs. Here is one that she'll foul into the backstop. Hanging tough in this at bat. Tristan Doster at first base, Nia Carter at second. 1 out. Ball and 2 strikes with the junior Kalena Burns at the plate. Here is the 1-2. Burns will get a nice cut at it and just fist it, foul it into the back to the press box roof, and it bounces back into the stands. People, you heard them shouting to watch out. Here comes that softball. Count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes on Kalena Burns. Here is the 1-2 that she gets around on, hits it over to Dowell. They will get the force at third on Nia Carter. McKenna Dowell doing a nice job of moving to her right, scooping in an underhand throw to Chavez at third just in front of the slide of Nia Carter. So that's 2 force plays that Minnesota has earned here in this bottom of the first inning. Doster moves on to second. Kalena Burns at first on a fielder's choice, and it's Marissa Peak time. Here is the first pitch that Marissa will take a cut at. Marissa last played in the second game of the Maryland series. She had a couple of hits and an RBI in that game. She's the designated player today. Here's the 0-1 that she gets around on, and she's quickly down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Now the temperature up to 61 degrees here in Iowa City, but again, a very gusty east-southeast wind. National Weather Service had put out a new wind warning today at 25 to 35, gusting to 45 miles per hour. Here is the 0-2 that's upstairs, and they get Tristan Doster off too far of second base, and on the throw down to second, she heads to third. The throw to the left of second base goes into the outfield. Fortunately, Natalie Den Hartog was there to recover it for Minnesota. It does allow Tristan Doster to move on to third and Kalena Burns to second. Error. Throwing. So a throwing error is issued to Sarah Kinch from second base. So the 1-2 with Marissa Peak, and she takes a cut and misses.
In the first inning for the Hawkeyes, there were no runs on no hits, 1 error and 2.
And she strikes out. That ends the Hawks here in the bottom of the first. They get some runners on. Can't get them across the plate to come close to Minnesota or tie the game or take the lead. As we head into the top of the second inning, it is Minnesota leading the Hawkeyes 2-0. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available. No referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sports medicine. Women's tennis team lost to Maryland on Friday, 5-2. Barbara Pocorna and Samantha Gilas were winners in the single side in the doubles team of Michelle Bacala and Barbara Picorno were the winners for the Hawks, but they lose it, and they're facing Rutgers. That game is in action right now on the road at Rutgers. Stepping to the plate for Minnesota, Megan Dre. Dre with a .267 average, 23 hits and 86 at-bats. Picked up her 6th home run of the season with a 2-run home run yesterday, that in the top of the 8th inning that gave Minnesota a 4-2 lead, and then Sarah Kinch would come along and hit a solo home run. Kinch is the next batter to make it 5-2 in 8 innings, and here's one that is fouled just lightly down the first base line, and hustling for it is Marissa Peak. Diving and making the catch is Marissa Peak for the first out of this top of the 2nd inning. Nice defensive effort by Marissa Peak. And that'll bring up Sarah Kinch. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker, one that's up and in. Sarah Kinch with a .234 average, 22 hits, 94 at-bats. She's hit her 4th and 5th home runs of the season. Friday's was a grand slam home run. Here's one that she'll hit line that down the left field line and foul. And then she hit a solo home run yesterday to make it 5-2 in that top of the 8th inning. Dre for the weekend, 4 of 8. She has scored 3 runs and 4 runs batted in. 6 runs batted in. I was looking at the wrong stat line. And she's ahead in the count at 2 balls and 1 strike. 1 out in Minnesota's top of the 2nd. A great play by Marissa Peak. Here's one that Kinch will hit right sky high in the infield. Coming in, making the catch in the circle is second baseman Sophia Morris. And that's 2 gone in Minnesota's top of the 2nd. McKenna Dowell will come to the plate. Dowell, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, .253 coming into the game, 24 hits and 95 at-bats. 4 doubles, a triple, and she with 3 home runs. And a senior transfer from Auburn University, where she played 120 games in her career there. Looks at a first pitch that's on the outside corner, and strike 1. Dowell on the weekend, 1 for 7. She got that hit in yesterday's game. She also has scored a run. Denali Lecker ahead on the count here. No balls and 1 strike. Here's the 0-1 pitch that's up and in on Dowell. So the left-hander will be even in the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here comes the 1-1 from Denali Lecker. And it's a pitch that is down and in. 2 balls and 1 strike. Dowell produced 4 runs batted in the Fighting Illini series last weekend, in which Minnesota would lose 2 of the 3 games. Offensive production good, defensive execution not so. Here's Dowell driving one out over the top of Zoe Schulte out there in left field. She's around first on her way to second base with a stand-up double. A line drive shot over the top of Zoe Schulte, and a 2-out double for McKenna Dowell. For Dowell, that is her 5th double of the season. She stands at second with 2 outs, and it's the number 9 hitter, Kayla Chavez. Now Chavez, a .268 hitter, 22 hits and 82 at-bats. Chavez on the series, 1 for 5. She got that hit in Friday's game when she was 1 for 2. Facing Denali Lecker. Marissa Peak stepping out in front of the plate as she's given defensive signals. To the outfield and infield. Outfield playing about normal depth at left and right. Here is the first pitch to Chavez. Ball 1. Denali Lecker in the circle for the Hawks. 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch to Kayla Chavez. It's a pitch that Chavez will hit it high over the top of Amber DeSena. And trying to go home is Dowell. She actually ran out of the baseline as she got close to home. She didn't even try to attempt to make it. The ball was hit out to left field where Zoe Schulte was playing very shallow. She had the ball before Dowell even came around third base. Throws it home to Marissa Peak. Dowell kept running, then she stopped at about 4 paces in front of home plate. Seemed to me that she had run out of the baseline, turned around and headed back towards third. Peak would fire it over to DeSena at third base, who went right back to Peak at the plate, who made the tag. Interesting play, and the Hawks get the out. Chavez hits into a fielder's choice, and we single. Chavez will, that's right, she'll get the single. The ball bounced over top of DeSena. And the play made at the plate. So, we go into the bottom of the second inning, and it's Minnesota leading the Hawks by the score of 2-0. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
In Iowa, we grow corn, a lot of corn. We love seeing our farmers in the fields, and although they're perfect strangers, we know them. We know them by their equipment covered in dust. We know them by their work ethic, where days off don't exist. We know them by the way they wave, passing strangers alike on a 2-lane road. We know them in the midst of our kitchen as we prepare another family meal. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. The Iowa corn farmers are proud to be on the sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course and Bumps Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of public golf as well as handcrafted American fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf at Finkbine and food at Bumps Restaurant. Well, the Hawks able to come away with an excellent defensive play at the end of that top of the second inning to get McKenna Dowell at the plate, trying to score from second base on the single by Chavez. And now Emily Levitt, freshman, back in the circle, facing Sophia Morris. Morris comes in. She is the number 6 hitter today, a .304 hitter, 17 hits and 56 at-bats. She has 4 doubles to her credit, and she's down on the count at no balls and a strike, now making no balls and 2 strikes. Morris yesterday was 0 for 1. And for the series, she's 0 for 2, but has scored 2 runs. Here's one that she'll lift up to left field, and Ellie Jensen will camp underneath it, shallow left field, and make the catch. 1 out.
Number 23.
And it's Grace Baines, sophomore shortstop out of Kansas City. Kansas City, Kansas, that is. Playing shortstop. She started and played every game last year as a freshman. 24 hits, 122 at-bats. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and in. So it's ball 1. 0 for 2 in each of the first 2 games for the series. Baines is 0 for 4 with a strikeout. She's ahead in the count at 1 ball to no strikes on Levitt. Here's the pitch that hits that outside corner, so it's strike 1. Baines last year started every game, all 44 of them. 38 of them at shortstop. The last 38, the first 6 were at second base. Here is the 1-1 that now becomes 1 ball and 2 strikes. She did club 3 home runs last year. First of her career was against this same Minnesota program, not this same Minnesota team. Here's the 1-2 that is called strike 3 as it hits that outside corner. And Emily Levitt, with her second strikeout of the game, has 2 outs on the Hawkeyes here in the bottom of the second. Amber DeSena now steps to the batter's box, the number 8 hitter in the lineup for the Hawks. Amber hitting at .217, 13 hits in 60 at-bats. Here's the first pitch to her. That is called strike one on the outside corner. Senna is 1 for 4 in the series, has scored a run, has struck out twice. Down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Here's the 0-1 from Emily Levitt, a pitch that's up and in on DeSena, so it's a ball and a strike. Bottom of the second, Minnesota leading the Hawks 2-0. 2-run home run from Chloe Evans is the difference. Here's the 1-1 it's called strike two on the outside corner. This is an home plate umpire that seems to have a little bit wider strike zone than we've seen previous 2 games. So Amber's down in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Here is the offering from Levitt. Pitch that she gets around on, rips it down the third base line, and it's just foul. Chavez tried to field it. She went down to her right knee, tried to backhand it. That ball was hit sharply down the third base line, but foul. So everything remains the same. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Amber DeSena. She has 5 doubles on the season within her 13 hits. Here it is again. It's outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. On the sophomore third baseman, she's really played a great third base, especially most recently. She's a 3-time California team state champion back in high school out of Concord, California. Here's one that she hits to the left of second base. Sydney Strelo able to get to it, field it, and to Dre at first for the out. So the Hawks go down in order, 1-2-3, heading into the top of the third inning. Iowa trails the Minnesota Gophers by the score of 2-0. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. My name is Denali.
And I'm Briley. And we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team.
Our team is striving to be number 1.
And that's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service, the #1 automotive shop in Iowa City,
where service actually comes first.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye softball.
Want to wish sophomore Adeline Kenlin very much good luck as she heads to the NCAA Gymnastics Championships in Fort Worth, Texas next weekend. She'll be competing in the balance beam. It'll be, I believe April 14th is when she will begin her competition. She's the 11th Hawkeye to make it to the NCAAs and the 2nd balance beam competitor since 2017. So we head into the top of the third inning, and Minnesota at the top of the order. Lauren Espelin, she grounded out to Sophia Morris at second base in her first at-bat today. She's 3 for 7 in the series. Had those 3 hits in that first game, 0 for 3 yesterday. She has scored a run, but very productive at the plate as a leadoff hitter. Facing Denali Lecker. Here is the first pitch from Lecker. It's a pitch that's hit right just past the outstretched glove of Lecker to Grace Baines, who fields it on the hop and across the diamond to Kalena Burns, and it's out number 1 in the top of the third inning. That'll bring up Ellie Jensen. Jensen bounced back to Denali Lecker in her first at-bat, batting .348 coming into the game, now 23 hits and 67 at-bats, a couple of doubles to her credit. On the weekend, Jensen 3 for 7, scored a run. There's a pitch that away from her, so it's ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to the senior left fielder, Ellie Jensen. Here's the windup and the release from Lecker, one that Jensen will two-hop it to Sophia Morris. As she was trying to field it going to her left, kicks it off of her left shin.
Number 31,
and on due to error is Ellie Jensen. And for Morris, that is her 11th error. That's 59 for the Hawks this season. And it brings up Natalie Den Hartog. Den Hartog walked and scored in her first at-bat. She scored in front of Chloe Evans with the 2-run home run. Here's Den Hartog. She'll lift one just off the fist of her glove. And going back and wheeling around twice was Grace Bain. She catches it right at the grass, a very short center field. But she is able to glove it, and folks, out again is a huge out. Getting Natalie Den Hartog to fly out that way. Out number 2 in the top of the third. It brings up Chloe Evans. Chloe with a 2-run home run in her first at-bat. Here is the first pitch to her that rolls across the plate, but Marissa Peak there too. Hey, Scott. So, I knew I wasn't seeing things. So 1 ball and no strikes on Chloe Evans. Here's the pitch to her that is down and away. So it's 2 balls and no strikes. You know, Denali Lecker trying to be careful with Evans. She picked up her 7th home run of the season. She leads the team in RBIs with 34 now on the 2-run home run. Has teammate Ellie Jensen at first base. And it's ball 3. Nice crowd on hand here again today. Had over 600 yesterday. Easily that many here today. Here's the 3-0. It's called strike 1 right down the middle. So Denali attacking the batter. She have a 3-1 count on her. It's Chloe Evans, the sophomore right fielder. Again, batting at .333, 34 hits and 100 at bats. 8 doubles, 7 home runs. Here's the 3-1 to her. That is called ball 4, low and away.
Number 2, second.
So a 2-out walk with a runner at first base puts runners at first and second. Sydney Strelo will now step to the plate. She flew out to Bradley Klosterman in her first at-bat back in the first inning. Strelo batting at .250, now 22 and hits in 89 at-bats. 5 doubles. She also with 6 home runs, so there's some pop in that bat. Again, 8 of the 9 batters in the lineup for Minnesota have at least 2 home runs. Chavez has the fewest. Den Hartog the most with 14. And there are Evans with 7, Strelo with 6, Dre with 6, Kinch with 5. This is a home run hitting Minnesota team. Here's the first pitch to Strelo. It's down and away, so it's ball 1. As a matter of fact, as a team, Minnesota with 47 home runs coming into the game now make it 48 with the 2-run home run hit by Evans back in the first inning. 1-0 is the count on Sydney Strelo. Here's the pitch. Hits that inside corner. Nice spot by Denali Lecker. Lecker out of Ogden. Got in an inning and 2/3 in Friday's game when she was knocked out of the circle. Good hitting Minnesota team. Went 1 2/3 innings. Gave up 8 hits, 8 runs. All of them were earned. She did walk 1 batter and faced only 14 batters in that game through 45 pitches. She gave up the grand slam home run, but all 8 runs in that top of the second inning Friday. Here is the 2-1 that's down and in on Sydney Strelo. So Strelo making Denali Lecker throw some pitches. Here's the 3-1 from Denali Lecker on Sydney Strelo, called strike 2 in the outside corner. Denali's been on a 3-game losing streak in the circle. Her last win came against San Diego. Here's one that's hit to the right of Grace Baines to Zoe Schulte. She's going to the plate again, trying to get Ellie Jensen, but the throw a little bit too late. Jensen with some speed around third base, heads to the plate, slides under the tag, and scores from second. RBI single for Strelo, who goes on to second base on the throw. That puts Chloe Evans over at third. And with 2 outs, Minnesota now leading this game 3-0, and runners at second and third with Megan Dre at the plate. Dre with a .267 average. She popped up to Marissa Peak in her first at-bat. Here's one that's driving Brodie Klosterman back to deep center field, but again, it got up into that wind, held it up. It was a nice long shot. On a normal day, that would have had an opportunity, but the wind held it up, and Brodie Klosterman able to make the catch. But Minnesota gets a run, makes it 3-0 as we head into the bottom of the third inning. And when the Hawks come to the plate, it'll be Zoe Schulte batting for Iowa. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Well, the track and field athletes of the University of Iowa are competing down in Arizona. The men in first place after day one with 86 points. The women in second place after day one with 105, trailing Arizona by 18 points. Lots of information I'll give to you here, and I'll probably have to go into this at-bat for the Hawkeyes. But on the women's side, the hammer throw, Amanda Howe, second place. In the discus throw, Kat Moody won it with a 171 feet 11-inch throw. Jamie Cochran was third. In the high jump, Maria Garum was fifth. In the shot put, Nicole Berry is fifth. And Kat Moody seventh. In the triple jump, Jade McDonald was fourth. Kayla Hutchins was third. In the 100-meter hurdles, Maya Brines finished fourth. Jade McDonald sixth. 4x100-meter relay team of the women finished first. The 800-meter runner, Allie Bookin, took fifth place. We'll get to more of those here momentarily. Zoe Schulte will step into the left-handed batter's box for the Hawks. Zoe not getting a lot of on-field time, but getting a start here today out in left field. Ahead of the count at 1 ball and no strikes. She from the same city in Missouri as Marissa Peak, Wentzville, Missouri, but from Timberland High School. She holds 16 high school records. Here is the pitch to her. Zoe with a 500 record batting average, but only has 2 at-bats, and you can imagine 1 hit. She scored 7 times. She's been used primarily as a pinch runner. Ahead in the count at 2 balls and 1 strike to the left-hander. Here's a pitch that is away from her. So it's 3 balls and 1 strike from Emily Levitt. The last hitting performance that Zoe Schulte had is when she pinch hit in the game against Maryland, and then went out to play right field. She was 0 for 1 at the plate. She's up in the count here at 3 balls and 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Emily Levitt, and it's up and away. Zoe Schulte draws a walk to start the bottom of the third inning.
Number 22, center fielder Briley Klosterman.
A year ago, she had 1 hit and only 7 at-bats. She started 1 game last year and played in 29. She did not get, she wasn't walked in. So this is the first walk of the season for her. Actually, the second walk. And she's on first base. Nobody out at the top of the order. Brodie Klosterman in the left-handed batter's box looks at a first pitch that's up and in on her. Brodie at 253. Got hit by a pitch in her first at-bat and was forced at second. Back in the first inning. Ahead in the count now, 1 ball and no strikes on Emily Levitt. Zoe Schulte at first base. Here's the pitch that she lifts up into the air down the third base line. Will it get out of play? And it does. So Brodie Klosterman will head back to the left-handed batter's box and have an even count on her at 1 ball and 1 strike. 3-0 the lead for Minnesota. We're in the bottom of the third inning. This is game number 3 of the 3-game series between Iowa and Minnesota. Iowa won Friday night 9-8 and come from behind fashion. Minnesota yesterday in 8 innings, 5-2. Here is the 1-1 that now becomes 2 balls and 1 strike. On the sophomore center fielder out of North Liberty, prepping at Iowa City Liberty High School. Finished the season a year ago, hitting safely in 11 of the last 15 games she played. Here's the 2-1 tour that is upstairs, so it's 3 balls and 1 strike. She had 11 multi-hit games a year ago, 1 4-hit game, 1 3-hit game. The 4-hit game was at Rutgers. She really had a series that weekend. She had 8 hits, 13 at-bats, and her first 2 home runs of her career. Ahead in the count here at 3 balls and 1 strike. Brody Klosterman at the plate. Zoe Schulte at first. Here's the pitch that Brody will get around on, and she'll foul it back. So that'll make the count 3 balls and 2 strikes. Has started every game this season in center, out in the outfield. There was 1 game she did not start in center. Head coach Renee Gillespie moved them around. She and Sheehy and Nia Carter. Here's the 3-2 again that Brody will lift out to left field. Ellie Jensen going back. She'll make the catch in foul territory right up against the wall. The wind carried that ball a long ways, and Jensen able to make that catch.
Right fielder Nia Carter.
Zoe Schulte not tagging up to try to attempt to get to second base. So she'll remain at first, and that'll bring up Nia Carter. Nia, .434 hitting coming into the game. 46 hits, 106 at bats, a couple of doubles, a couple of triples. And a teammate at first base in Zoe Schulte. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike 1 in the outside corner. Nia on the weekend 3 for 7. She has scored 3 runs and has 1 run batted in. Behind in the count here at no balls and a strike against the freshman Emily Levitt. Here's the pitch, one that Nia will get around on and lift it foul into the softball diamond behind Bob Pearlfield. So she's down in the count at no balls and 2 strikes. She reached on a fielder's choice in her first at bat and then was thrown out at third base on a forced play. Nice play by McKenna Dowell. Here is the 0-2. She'll reach in a bounder to Chavez. Picks it up on the hop to Strelo at second for the force. They can't get the double on Nia Carter. Zoe Schulte going in, hard slide into second base. Brings Strelo down. Sydney Strelo is up and walking around. But they get the force on Zoe Schulte. Nice play by Kayla Chavez. You had to play that short hop going to her left and was able to do so. Nia Carter now with back-to-back fielder's choice at bats. And Tristan Doster now at the plate. Doster walked in her first at bat back in the first inning, hitting .324, 22 hits and 68 at bats. 2 for 7 on the weekend. Has a couple of RBIs and has struck out twice. And has a teammate at first base in Nia Carter. She takes a cut at the first pitch and misses it, so she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Here comes the pitch from Emily Levitt to Doster. Doster takes a good strong cut at it and fouls it into the backstop. Doster had 5 hits in the Maryland series, 5 hits and 10 at bats, including a double and a home run, a 2-run home run. 1 for 3 against Drake earlier this week, and again 2 of 7 in the series coming in here in this game. In the game number 3, the all-important rubber match between these two. Fouls one back, so the count remains the same at a ball and 2 strikes. Emily Levitt in the circle has pitched a strong game here today. Here's the 1-2 to Tristan Doster. She'll hit it up into the air. Coming down the third base line and in foul territory is Kayla Chavez to make the out. And the Hawks, after getting a run on, a runner on, can't move her around and close the gap on this 3-0 deficit to Minnesota. We'll head into the top of the fourth inning. Minnesota leads this game over the Iowa Hawkeyes by the score of 3-0. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition for those who are Iowan through and through. We're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
The Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series will continue in softball on the 26th of this month. That at Tuesday in Ames, Iowa at Iowa State. That's a 4 o'clock start time in the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In other track and field information on the women's side, again in the 800, Allie Bookin finished 5th. In the 400, Tessa Roberts 3rd and Chloe Larson 4th. In the 100, Lisa Love won it in a time of 11.3 seconds. And in the 400 hurdles, Erin Dowd finished 3rd. Peyton Wenzel was 4th. On the men's side, in the discus, Jordan Johnson won the discus toss, 183 feet 11 inches. I'll get to more men's results for you here momentarily. Coming to the plate for Minnesota is the catcher, Sarah Kinch, and she immediately hits one right down the third base line, but it is foul. Getting around on Denali Lecker. In the 100-meter hurdles, 110-meter high hurdles, Grant Conway won it in a time of 13.81 seconds, but the Hawks took the top 4 places. Grat Reed 2nd, Josh Braverman 3rd, and Khalil Johnson 4th. Here's the 0-1 to Kinch, and it's up and in on her. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. The men's 4x100 meter relay team was 2nd. 1 ball and 1 strike on Sarah Kinch. She popped up to Sophia Morris in her first at bat. Here is the pitch to her that she gets out in front of it and rips it down the third base line, and yet it is foul again. Kinch batting at .234, coming into the game at 22 hits and 94 at bats. A couple of doubles and 5 home runs. Hit a solo home run yesterday and a grand slam home run in Friday's game. Here is the 1-2 that's down and away, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kinch 3 for 6 in the series with 6 runs batted in. She does have a walk and has scored 2 runs. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. And just out of the strike zone, so it's a full count on the sophomore catcher, Sarah Kinch. Sophomore out of California. Here comes the 3-2 from Denali Lecker. And it's a pitch that Kinch will get around on and foul it into the backstop. So the count will remain the same at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Sarah Kinch, the leadoff hitter for Minnesota in this top of the 4th inning, with the Gophers leading 3-0. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. One that she doesn't go around on. She held up, and it hit that inside part of the plate. Umpire rings her up for a strikeout. And for Denali Lecker, it is the first strikeout of the game for her. Brings up McKenna Dowell. Dowell in her first appearance at the plate stroked a double. So she now is 25 of 96. Here's the first pitch to her. That is down and away, a .253 hitter. Has the 5 doubles on the season, a triple and 3 home runs. Transfer from Auburn University. Was a Tiger through all of her eligible years. Now she's hit by the pitch just off the top of the thigh. So she will head down to first base after being hit by a pitch.
Number 77, third baseman Kayla Chavez.
And for Denali, that is the third hit batter of the season. So runner at first and one out. Here is Kayla Chavez, and ball gets away from Marissa Peak, and down to second quickly goes McKenna Dowell. And so with one out, the number 9 hitter in Kayla Chavez, a 1-0 count on her. Dowell down to second base. Takes the force play out of the picture. And here's one that's bounded to Grace Baines. She dives for it, going to her right, trying to get back up onto her feet and get a throw across the diamond, just not in time to get Chavez. An infield hit for Kayla Chavez. Dowell remains at second base, and it brings up Lauren Espelin. I should mention to you that also in the men's results in the 800, Armando Bryan was second, Alex Still third, Antonio Abrasio was fourth, Spencer Gujul was fifth. In the 400, Genoa McIver won it in a time of 44.7 seconds, which is the fastest time outdoors in the NCAA right now, and world number 2, 44.7 for Genoa McIver. And in the men's 100-meter dash, Austin Cressley was in fifth place. So it's top of the order. Here is a bunt by Espelin, and nice play by Kalena Burns. Come down first base line, turn and throw it to Sophia Morris. Covering at first base for out number 2. Had a big out. It does move the runners up to second and third. Chavez goes to second and Dowell goes to third. And it brings up Ellie Jensen. Jensen reached on an error in her last at bat and scored on the single by Sydney Strelo. Here's the first pitch to Jensen. It's down and away from her. Got a 3-0 game going, folks. Minnesota 2 runs in the first, 1 in the third. We're now on the top of the fourth. Minnesota with runners at second and third. And the senior left fielder Ellie Jensen at the plate. And a 1-0 count on her. Here's the pitch to her that she holds off of, and now a 2-ball and no strike count. On Jensen. Here it is. And I'm going to call a strike one. Nice pitch on the inside. Jensen was trying to slap at it. Went far enough across the plate for the umpire to make it strike one, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. In the Illinois series last weekend, Ellie Jensen batted .714. She was 5 for 7, reaching base 8 of the 10 times she was at the plate. She also was walked 3 times. Here's the 2-1 to her here. She lifts it out to left field over the top of Zoe Schulte. Going to score 1, going to score 2. And Ellie Jensen with a 2-run double to give Minnesota a 5-0 lead. And Natalie Den Hartog will step to the plate. Jensen got the pitch she wanted. Zoe Schulte playing in a shallow left field, and it was hit easily far enough over her head. Actually bounced on the warning track and off the wall, bounced back to Zoe Schulte, at least to help the cause a little bit, but by then 2 runs had already scored. Dowell from third and Chavez from second, and Ellie Jensen was slowing into second base. Still 2 out, and it brings up Natalie Den Hartog. She popped up to Grace Baines at short in her last at-bat, walked and scored 1 of 2 runs in the first inning. She was the first run of the 2-run home run hit by Chloe Evans. Here is the 1-0 to her, and it's up and in on her. 1 ball and no strikes. Then Hartog at 3:36 coming into the game. She's ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes on Denali Lecker. Here is the pitch. And one that she gets out to center field over the top of Roddy Klosterman, and it bounces off the scoreboard in dead center field. Natalie Den Hartog adds to the already 2 runs scored with a 2-run home run here to make it Minnesota 7, Iowa nothing, with her 15th home run, 54th of her career. The leader in home runs for the University of Minnesota. And it brings head coach Renee Gillespie out to the circle. Natalie Den Hartog, 15th home run, RBIs 30 and 31. She 3 behind Chloe Evans in the RBI category. Evans with 34 after the 2-run home run earlier this game. Minnesota now with a commanding 7-0 lead heading into the bottom of the 4th inning. And now Devin Greer will replace Denali Lecker in the circle.
Now pitching number 25, Devin Greer.
Devin Greer will come in, making her 16th appearance. Getting some warm-up pitches right now with Marissa Peak. Minnesota has blown open this game here in the top of the 4th inning with already 4 runs.
Number 6, right fielder Chloe Evans.
So Devin Greer pitched in game number 1 on Friday, went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, a couple of strikeouts. She faced 20 batters. She's looking at Chloe Evans here. Here is the first pitch to Evans, and she'll hit a major league pop-up out to left field. Zoe Schulte camping underneath it. And after
4 runs on 3 hits.
Minnesota got 2 outs in the inning, they scored 4 runs and will take a 7-0 lead into the bottom of the 4th inning. Kalena Burns will get it started for the Hawks when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Well, a 4-run top of the 4th inning propels Minnesota to a 7-0 lead. 2-run home run hit by Natalie Den Hartog, and they talked about not going to keep her down for very long. She was 0 for 8 coming into the game today. She showed why she is one of the better hitters in the nation. With that ball just hit out to center field. Kalena Burns will step to the plate for the Hawks. Kalena reached on a fielder's choice in her first at-bat back in the 1st inning. Kalena on the weekend, now 3 for 7. Had 2 home runs hit in game number 1 on Friday. Looks like we have some changes being made for Minnesota. Well, at least I saw the home plate umpire talking with Minnesota coaching staff. Emily Levitt remains in the circle. She's throwing Currently a no-hitter against this Hawk team as we get into the bottom of the 4th inning. And on Kalena Burns, the first pitch is down and in on her, so it's ball 1. Kalena, junior out of Corona, California, in the Bay Area of San Francisco. Here is the 1-0 to her that's upstairs. So it's 2 balls and no strikes. Hawks got a ways to go. Got to chip away at this. They ultimately have 4 at-bats, including this one. And they got to play some good, solid defense in the field to keep Minnesota from any more runs. 2 balls and no strikes on the junior Kalena Burns. Here is the offering from Levitz down and in, so it's 3 balls and no strikes. Burns batting at .259. She now 3 for 7 in the series, 3 for 6 coming in with 5 runs batted in. And is ahead in the count here at 3 balls and no strikes. Here's the offering from Emily Levitt, freshman pitcher for Minnesota. It's strike 1. Three and 1 on Kalena Burns. Levitt taking her time now on top of the rubber. Here's the windup and the release. Burns will get around on it and foul it back into the backstop. Kalena's bounced around a little bit, well, between 2 different positions on the season. She started a couple games at third base at the Maryland series, and she started the first dozen games at third base, and then she was moved over to first base. And Amber DeSena was inserted into the third base role. Sammy Diaz had played a lot of third base there last year. 3 balls and 2 strikes now on Kalena Burns. Here's the pitch, down and in, so Kalena will draw a walk. Head down to first base, brings up Marissa Peak. Marissa struck out in her first at-bat. Peak, a sophomore from Wentzville, Missouri. She went to Wentzville Holt. 19 hits and 68 at-bats. She struck out in her first at-bat. And Kate Claypool will be running for Kalena Burns. Kate started in left field yesterday. And going to give it a chance to give the Hawks their first run of the day. And for Kate, this is her 19th appearance. She did play left field. She has scored twice on the season. Here's the first pitch from Levitt. And batting for Marissa Peak is Emma Henderson. Emma Henderson in the lineup for the Hawkeyes here, batting for Marissa Peak. That's the number 5 hitter in the lineup. Emma, a 143 hitter. Making her 14th appearance, she has 3 hits and 21 at-bats. No extra base hits. She also has scored a run. She's been used as pinch runner, pinch hitter during the season. She's played some first base too. Her first appearance here this weekend. She did get in some pitching performance at Maryland in the Saturday games. She went 3 2/3 innings. She's even in the count of 1 ball and 1 strike. To the left of Dowell, a base hit for Emma Henderson moves Kate Claypool onto second base. Nice piece of hitting for Emma Henderson, freshman from Battleground, Indiana. Her first hit since the first game of the Maryland series. And Emma, in a pinch hitting role with a base hit, moves Claypool onto second base, and with nobody out, it brings up Sophia Morris. Sophia Morris, in her first at-bat today, flew out to Ellie Jensen in left field. Junior out of Johnston via Des Moines Area Community College, the National Junior College Player of the Year a year ago. Batting 6th in the lineup today. Had been batting the number 9 spot. 17 hits and 57 at-bats. Does have 4 doubles, 9 runs batted in. Here's one that is fouled into the backstop. So she's quickly down to the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Morris has started the last 10 games at second base, shortstop, and third base. She's kind of settled into second base here the last 4. Here's the 0-2 that's outside, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. First 2 games, and including today, now 3 of the Minnesota games at second base. She started second base against Drake, started at shortstop in the 3rd game against Maryland. Down to the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Teammates at first and second. Nobody out. Here's the pitch that she'll just tap down the third base line. Chavez picks it up, and the speed of Morris beats the throw from Chavez over to first base. And an infield single for Sophia Morris will load the bases for the Hawks, and Grace Baines will step to the right-handed batter's box. Sophomore shortstop from Kansas City, Kansas. Baines, in her first at-bat today, struck out. She now 20 of 93 at-bats. Has a couple of doubles and 2 triples. And as I talked about, had a couple of home runs last year, 3 of them to be exact. So she's certainly capable of hitting the long ball if she gets the right pitch to hit. Here's one out at the center field. Natalie Den Hartog will make the catch. She's going to fire it home, and she throws it well over top of the catcher. Sarah Kinch into the backstop. There to back it up is
Number 27, third baseman, Ember.
the pitcher, Emily Levitt. And the sac fly for Grace Baines scores Kate Claypool from third base. It moves the runners up to second and third, and here is Amber DeSena now. She'll pop one out into right field, coming in to make the catch on the run. Now we got a rundown between third and home, and that is Emma Henderson, and she'll be tagged out by Chavez. So Henderson was trying to score from third. Nice play by right fielder for Minnesota, Chloe Evans. She was just in very deep second base area, and Henderson was going to try to score anyway. So the out was made, out number 2, and then Henderson was tagged out by Chavez. She got caught up in a rundown. But the Hawks get a run. They get on the board finally, and they trail it 7-1 as we head into the top of the 5th inning. Sydney Strelo will begin it for Minnesota when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
In Iowa, we grow corn, a lot of corn. We love seeing our farmers in the fields, and although they're perfect strangers, we know them. We know them by their equipment covered in dust. We know them by their work ethic, where days off don't exist. We know them by the way they wave passing strangers alike on a 2-lane road. We know them in the midst of our kitchen as we prepare another family meal. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. The Iowa corn farmers are proud to be on the sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Well, we head into the top of the 5th inning. Minnesota has scored 7 runs. They put 4 on the top of the 4th inning. 2 of them came on a 2-run home run from Natalie Den Hartog. Second home run of the day for Minnesota. Chloe Evans clouded one back in the 1st inning. 7-1 the lead for Minnesota. And it's Sydney Strelo stepping to the right-handed batter's box, facing Devin Greer. Greer came in at the end of the top of the 4th inning. Here's one that Strelo will foul just behind the stands here at Bob Pearl Field, first base line. Strelo with a .250 batting average coming into the game today. Singled in her last at-bat. 1 for 2. An RBI single. So she's 23 of 90 coming into this at-bat. 5 doubles, a triple, and 6 home runs. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the pitch from freshman Greer. That's down and in. So 2 balls and 1 strike on the junior second baseman, Sydney Strelo. Here's the pitch from Greer, one that she rips right at Amber DeSena. Line drive. Put your glove on it. 1 out. And Megan Dre. Come into the batter's box, right-handed batter's box. Dre over 2 on the day. She's 4 for 8. She was 4 for 8 coming into this third game. Here's one. She hits out the left center field over the top of, in between Bronte Klosterman and Zoe Schulte, and now Megan Dre with a double off the wall on second base.
Number 5 catcher, Sarah Kinch.
Sarah Kinch now to the plate. She also 0 for 2 with a teammate at second base in Megan Dre, and 1 out. Here is the pitch from Devin Greer. And Kinch with a good strong cut, but misses it in first strike of this at-bat. Kinch at 234. 22 of 96 at the plate for the season. 2 doubles and 5 home runs to her credit. Here is a pitch that's inside on her, so it's a ball and a strike. We're in Minnesota's top half of the 5th inning. Minnesota leading 7-1. Very, very windy day. Temperature right at 61 degrees, though. Here is the 1-1 that is high. So it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Now 64 degrees here in Iowa City. Winds sustained at 24 miles per hour out of the south-southeast. Here's the 2-1 from Devin Greer as she rips it out in the left field line, getting past Schulte off the wall. Dre will score, and Kinch with a stand-up double, RBI double.
Number 32, shortstop, McKenna.
And it makes it an 8-2 game. 8-1 game. Brings up McKenna Dowell. Transfer shortstop from Auburn. She was hit by a pitch in her last at-bat and scored eventually. And now a pinch runner coming in for Minnesota. And that is Mackenzie Denson.
Number 22, Mackenzie Denson.
Going to be running for Sarah Kinch. Minnesota with a run in. Have 1 out. Runner at second base, and Mackenzie Denson running for Sarah Kinch, who just stroked a double. And Mackenzie Dowell at the plate. Dowell again hit by a pitch and scored in her last at-bat, doubled in her first at-bat. So she 1 for 1 on the day. Up in the count at 1 ball to no strikes. Here's the pitch to her that's called strike 1. Mackenzie Denson making her 24th appearance. She has scored 8 runs. So she used primarily for pinch running. Here is the 1-1 to Dowell that's off the plate. Two balls and 1 strike. Devin Greer in relief of Denali Lecker in the 4th inning. Here's one that's ripped right at first base, picked up by Kalena Burns. And she steps on first base for the unassisted out. And that's 2 gone in Minnesota's top of the 5th inning. Kayla Chavez now at the plate, 2 for 2. She scored in her last at bat. Part of that 4-run top of the 4th inning. Facing the freshman Devin Greer. Here is the first pitch to Chavez, and she'll take a cut at it, foul it into the backstop. So Chavez down in the count. No balls and a strike. Here's the pitch from Greer. The 0-1 that's upstairs. So 1-1. Chavez, freshman. Keno Hills, California. Here's one that she'll hit up into the air out to Brody Klosterman, and now being pushed to left field to Zoe Schulte. Schulte comes over to make the catch. It started in center, was pushed to right, where Zoe Schulte comes in to make the catch. We've played 4.5. We're heading into the bottom of the 5th. Zoe Schulte will lead it off for the Hawks, the scheduled hitter, when play resumes, and it is Minnesota leading Iowa by the score of 8-1. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. My name is Denali.
And I'm Briley, and we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team.
Our team is striving to be number 1.
And that's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service, the #1 automotive shop in Iowa City,
where service actually comes first.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye softball.
For the Hawkeyes, if they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Oh, let's go Hawkeyes!
Carey would be proud. 5th inning stretch singing. All right, this afternoon, get this crowd motivated. Nice crowd on hand here today, though. Maybe half to 2/3 full on a breezy day. Nice and warm at 64 degrees, but very windy at 25 to 35 mile per hour, gusting up to 45 at times. And Minnesota leading this game by the score of 8-1. University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same day, next day appointments available, no referral needed. Learn by visiting uihc.org/sports medicine. Zoe Schulte steps to the plate. Has a 1-0 count on her. So we get the bottom of the 5th started. 8-1 the lead for Minnesota. And she's now up in the count at 2 balls and no strikes. She reached on a walk in her first at-bat today. And ahead in the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Emily Levitt in circle this entire game for Minnesota. On a 2-hitter. So far, the Hawks got those 2 hits in their last at-bat. A single by Marissa Peak and a single by Sophia Morris. Iowa would eventually score as Kate Claypool, running for Kalena Burns, would score. And Zoe Schulte draws a walk to begin this bottom of the 5th inning. The number 9 hitter. Now we go to the top of the order. And it's Briley Klosterman.
22, the center fielder, Riley Klosterman.
And the pitching change for Minnesota. Autumn Pease is now in the circle. And she pitches one to Brody Klosterman, lays down the bunt, and it's picked up foul by Chavez. So Brody will come back to the left-handed batter's box, and Zoe Schulte back to first base. Klosterman on the day is 0 for 1. She was hit by a pitch in her first at-bat and flew out to left field in her second at-bat. coming into the game, a .253 hitter. Now 24 of 96, 8 doubles and 1 home run on the season. Facing Minnesota's number 1 pitcher, Autumn Pease. Down on the count at no balls and a strike. Here's the pitch. And it's called strike 2 on that inside corner. Nice spot by Autumn Pease. At first base is Zoe Schulte. Schulte, a sophomore from Wentzville, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis. Went to Timberland High School. On at first base, Hawks trailing 8-1. Bottom of the 5th inning. And an 0-2 count on Brody Klosterman. Here's the pitch from Pease that's upstairs. So a little time in between pitches. That wind is quite brisk. Everything back to order now, so it's a ball and 2 strikes on the sophomore center fielder, Bridie Klosterman. Here is the pitch from Pease, and she hits it between first and second. On to second base is Zoe Schulte, and she will hold up, rounded it, and they had to hustle her way back to second base, diving. Nice play there by Bridie Klosterman, a base hit. So she continues her hitting streak. Klosterman now has reached base 9 consecutive games and a 3-game hitting streak. That'll bring up Nia Carter. Carter squares the bunt, pulls it back, and a pitch that's up and in on her, so it's ball 1. Hawks try to make a threat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. They need to do it. Need to push across a few runs here, get some momentum going, slow down that Minnesota steamroll. Here is the 1-0. That's called strike 1 on the outside corner. Nia lets it go. It apparently crossed the plate on the outside. So 1 ball and 1 strike on the junior from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Has a family-wide history of athleticism. A couple of cousins that playing professional football. Kelly Skipper with the Buffalo Bills, now coaching with the Buffalo Bills, and then Royce Freeman now on the Houston Texans roster. Both her parents were athletes in college. Her dad at Seattle University Athletics Hall of Famer in baseball, and her mom played basketball at Seattle Pacific. So lots of athletic experience in the family of Nia Carter. 1-1 count. Here's a pitch that's up and in on her, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Brody Klosterman at first after singling, moving Zoe Schulte on to second base, who had got on by a walk. Corners are in for Minnesota. Here's the pitch to Nia Carter, hits it out to right center field. On the move is Natalie Den Hartog. She can't handle the fly ball, bounces off of her glove. That wind certainly played a huge role in that because it was tailing away from her. She had to turn and run towards the wall, so her back was to home plate when she reached up to got the the ball in her glove, and it popped out. And that will score Zoe Schulte from second base. That's going to be leveled an error on Natalie Den Hartog. Brody Klosterman could only move as far as second base, but Zoe Schulte racing around third, getting waved home by head coach Renee Gillespie. Now the Hawks trail 8-2 with still nobody out. And it brings up Tristan Doster. Here's the first pitch to her. She squared to bunt, does not pull the bat back on a pitch that's outside, so it's strike 1. So no balls and 1 strike on the freshman Tristan Doster. Doster, the designated player today, listed as catcher. Here is the 0-1 to her, and she'll foul it back into the backstop. So she's down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Now she's going to have a conversation with head coach Renee Gillespie on that third base line. with a 2-strike count on her. I would doubt very much that she'll square to bunt again, but you never know. Try to move those runners to second and third, get them out of any kind of a force play or chance for a double play. Still nobody out. Iowa has plated to run here. They put one across in the bottom of the fourth to make it 8-1, 7-1. Now it is 8-2. Here's the pitch from Autumn Pease to Doster. She swings at an off-speed pitch and misses, and she's down on strikes. One out in Iowa's bottom of the fifth inning. Kalena Burns now will step to the right-handed batter's box. She walked in her last at-bat and was pinch run for by Kate Claypool, who would eventually score. Kalena walked again in their last at-bat, and she reached on a fielder's choice in her first at-bat. Again, had knocked the 2 home runs in Friday's 9-8 to win, a 2-run and 3-run home run. Here's a pitch that's up and in on her from Autumn Pease. Pease making her 25th appearance. And behind on the count, 1 ball and no strikes. Here it is to Kalena Burns, a pitch that's called strike one in the outside corner. Autumn coming into this appearance had 106 and a third innings pitched, giving up 129 hits, 80 runs, 66 of them earned. She has a 4.34 ERA. She's walked 46 batters and struck out 101. Now she's up to 102 strikeouts and 47 walks. Here, Kalena Burns whips one right up the middle, and Brody Klosterman rounds third, but Natalie Den Hartog with some great speed out there in the outfield had it in her glove and was ready to fire home. If Brody was going to try to attempt to score from third, head coach Renee Gillespie holds her up, but a base hit for Kalena Burns right up through the circle brings up Marissa Peak. Looks like Emma Henderson will be stepping back in to the batter's box. She singled in her last at-bat. That's a designated player, and she looks at a pitch that's called strike one. Now for Marissa Peak. Peak done for the day. And an 0-1 count on Emma Henderson. Here is the 0-1. That's an off-speed pitch. It's called strike two. Fooled her at the plate. Nice pitch by Autumn Pease. And for Emma, she now with 4 hits and 22 at-bats. She's going to improve that batting average a little bit. Sophia Morris on deck for the Hawks. Here's one out. Runners at each of the bases. Here's one that's dribbled down the third base line, but foul. Emma Henderson from Battleground, Indiana. Just right outside of West Lafayette, Indiana, where Purdue University is. She and twin sister Anna have come state and a half over to play softball for the University of Iowa. Her parents are both Central College grads of Pella. Here is the pitch, and Emma will lift up into the infield, and coming in to make the catch is Sydney Strelo, the second baseman. So that's 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the fifth inning. Going to bring up Sophia Morris.
Number 29, second baseman
Sophia singled in her last at-bat and flew out to left field. Ellie Jensen in her first at-bat, so she's 1 for 2 in the day. Sophia with a .304 batting average, 18 of 58 batting, 4 doubles to her credit. Has teammates at every base. 2 outs. Here's the first pitch to her that she takes a cut at and will foul it into the backstop. Sophia coming into the game in this series 0 for 2. She does have 2 runs scored. She has walked 4 times. Down on the count at no balls and a strike. 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the fifth. Here's the pitch, an off-speed pitch that's up and away. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Autumn Pease, 4-year pitcher for Minnesota. Pitched alongside Amber Pfizer for 3 years. Here's the 1-1. to Morris. It's upstairs, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. A year ago, through 116 innings to Amber Feiser's 167 2/3. She had a 1.75 ERA a year ago. Down on the count to Morris. 2 balls and 1 strike. Now it's 3 balls and a strike. In the 2020 season, the pandemic-stricken year, she had just 59 1/3 innings pitched to Amber Feiser's 100. Had a 4-2 record. She's down on the count now, 3 balls and a strike to Sophia Morris, junior from Johnston via Des Moines Area Community College, and a pitch that she just throws by Morris, and it makes a full count out of it. Big pitch right here for both batter and pitcher. And for this Iowa Hawkeye team, trying to close the 8-2 gap with bases loaded. Sophia Morris in a 3-2 count. Here comes the pitch from Autumn Pease. And it's one that she lifts foul down the third base line and out of play. Going to have to be very protective at that plate. Don't want to leave it up to the umpire to make a call on you. Anything close, you got to be getting that bat on it. Here again is the 3-2 pitch from Autumn Pease to Sophia Morris. A pitch, Sophia will lift it up down the left field line. It will drift foul, well foul, and the wind carries that into the softball diamond behind Bob Pearl Field. So again, Sophia hanging tough in this at-bat. She's got Riley Klosterman at third base. At second is Nia Carter. And at first base, Kalena Burns. Here's a pitch and a swing and a miss. And Sophia Morris doing a nice job at the plate, extending it out, swings and misses, and strikes out with the bases loaded. The Hawks do get a run, and it's an 8-2 game lead for Minnesota over the Iowa Hawkeyes. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course and Bumps Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of challenging public golf at Finkbine, as well as handcrafted American fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf at Finkbine and great food at Bumps Restaurant. Next weekend is the Hawkeye Invitational Men's Tournament. A number of teams, I think a dozen teams, will be at Finkbine Golf Course, vying for the championship there. The Iowa men's golf team doing fairly well this year. They finished in a tie for 8th place at the Calusa Cup down in Florida that they hosted. They tied for 8th place with an 899. Georgia Tech, the only team under par at 7 under par, 857. Fred Biondi, the number 3 player in the country, was the individual title at 5 under 211. Junior Mac McClure tied for 16th at 4 over 220, and senior Gonzalo Leal Montero tied for 19th with the 6 over 222. The Hawkeye Invitational next weekend at Finkbine Golf Course here in Iowa City. So we head to the top of the 6th inning. And Ellie Jensen at the plate. Here's the first pitch from Devin Greer, a bunt by Jensen. Lauren Espelin was hit by a pitch and is at first base. Ellie Jensen, the senior left fielder, now down on the count at no balls and a strike, trying to bunt the ball, bunted it foul. Ellie has scored twice. Doubled in her last at bat. Here's one that hits out to right field to Nia Carter. Carter will get right to it. Fire it into Grace Baines at second, but not in time to get Lauren Espelin. And so a single for Ellie Jensen, her second of the day. Jensen was 3 for 7 coming into the game today. She's had a pretty hot bat. Batting number 2 in the lineup, Natalie Den Hartog. Blasted a 2-run home run in her last at-bat facing Devin Greer. Here's one she'll lift up into the infield. And in foul territory, now drifting back into fair territory, Kalena Burns. That's a big out again, folks. You don't know how big that is. Getting one of the hotter hitters, better hitters in the country to pop out like that. Kalena Burns down the first base line, catching it for the first out. Runners remain at first and second for Minnesota. That brings up Chloe Evans. Evans will rip one into right center field. It's going to score at least one. Brody Klosterman goes to her knees to come up with it, and it'll score a second. A nice relay, though, as he got it into Grace Baines, who fired it home to Tristan Doster, but not nearly in time to get Ellie Jensen scoring from first base. Espelin will score from second base. And the double issued to Chloe Evans. And now Minnesota up 10-2 with one out in the top of the 6th inning. Brings up Sydney Strelo. Strelo popped up to hit a line drive actually at Amber DeSena in her last at-bat, singled in her second at-bat and flew up to Brody Klosterman in center field. So she 1 for 3 on the day and is up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. The freshman Devin Greer in the circle for the Hawks. Here's the pitch to Strelo, and it's called strike 1. 10-2 the lead for Minnesota. They have scored at least 1 run in each of their last 4 at-bats, including the one that they're into right now. Here is the 1-1 that's upstairs, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. They've scored in 5 of their 6 at-bats. And lead at 10-2. 2 balls and 1 strike on the second baseman, Sydney Strelo. From Greer, the pitch swung on and missed. So it's 2-2. Megan Dre would be the next batter for Minnesota. She doubled in her last at-bat. Here is the 2-2 from Devin Greer, trying to get Strelo to chase it, and she does not. So 3 balls and 2 strikes, a full count on Sydney Strelo. Here's the pitch from Greer. It's upstairs, and it's ball 4. So that puts runners at first and second. 1 out, and it brings up Megan Dre. Dre 1 for 3 on the day. She doubled and scored in her last at-bat. That part of the 5th inning. And she's got teammates at first and second with 1 out. Dre popped a 2-run home run yesterday, top of the 8th inning. It was followed by a single solo home run from Sarah Kinch to give Minnesota the 3-run lead and eventual 8-5 win, a 5-2 win in 8 innings. Here's the 0-1. She lifts it up to the infield. Will it drift foul? It does. One of the fans sitting in the very back row leaning up against the fence had a shot at it. I think he wanted to stay where he's at, didn't want to lean too far for fear of falling over that fence, and can't come up with the catch. No balls and 2 strikes on Megan Dre. Here is the 0-2, and it's a pitch that gets away from Devin Greer, rolls across the plate where Tristan Doster, now behind the plate, loses control of it, and both runners advance. Puts Sydney Strelo at second and Evans at third. And now the defense of the Hawks coming into the circle. come up with some strategy here. There is one out. Probably going to have to get a play at the plate. Anything that's hit to the infield. Because there's no force play. And Megan Dre at the plate with a 1-2 count on her. And home plate umpire slowing things down here just momentarily. Now we're back to normal. Devin Greer, the freshman from Huntington Beach, California, in the circle. See if she can't get Dre to swing at a bad one. Here's a pitch that's lifted up into the infield. Going back at short is Grace Baines, and she calls it and makes the catch for out number 2.
Number 5,
Sarah Kinch now steps to the plate. Kinch with a RBI double in her last at-bat. She struck out and flew out to Sophia Morris at second base, so she's 1 for 3 on the day. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and in. Kinch 3 for 6 coming into today's game. 6 RBIs. She hit a grand slam home run Friday. Hit a solo home run yesterday. Here's one that she'll lift. It'll go foul back on the press box. So it's an even count at 1-1. Zoe Schulte playing a normal depth in left field. Brody Klosterman same in center, and Nia Carter in right. Amber DeSena a step down and 1 in at third base. Grace Baines at short, a step in, and as is Sophia Morris at second base. Kalena Burns even with the bag at first. Greer in the circle, and Tristan Doster behind the plate, and the pitch is ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. 10-2 the lead for Minnesota. They've got 2 here already in this top of the 6th inning. They have runners at second and third. Here is the 2-1 from Greer. She'll roll it across home plate. So it's 3 balls and 1 strike. On Sarah Kinch, sophomore catcher. Here is the 3-1. It's upstairs, and it's ball 4. That will load the bases and bring up McKenna Dowell. Grad transfer shortstop. Lined one to Kalena Burns at first base, and her last at-bat was hit by a pitcher in a second at-bat and would eventually score the first of 4 runs back in the 4th inning, and she doubled in her first at-bat today. 2 outs, runners at every base, and Dowell with the first pitch from Greer is down and away from her. Dowell just 1 for 7 coming into the game. She now 2 for 9. She's the number 8 hitter in the lineup. Here is the 1-0 that's called strike 1 on the inside part of the plate. Nice pitch by Devin Greer. So 1 ball and 1 strike on the grad transfer, McKenna Dowell. Here is the 1-1, and it's a pitch that she gets up underneath, and at second base, pop out to Sophia Morris. That'll end Minnesota's top of the 6th inning, but it does so with the bases loaded. Minnesota gets 2 more runs, leads this game 10-2. Iowa coming into the bottom of the 6th inning will have Grace Baines at the plate when play resumes. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Sunday afternoon at Bob Pearl Field on the campus of the University of Iowa. Iowa Hawkeye softball. 3rd game of the series against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Iowa heads to Lincoln, Nebraska tomorrow to square off against the University of Nebraska in a doubleheader on Tuesday. 4 o'clock the first game on Tuesday. The second game at approximately 6:30 or somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes after the conclusion of game number 1. Those are big games for the Iowa Hawkeyes as Nebraska leading the Big Ten coming into today's play with a 6-0 record. And then Iowa will return home next weekend to host the Ohio State Buckeyes. First game next Friday at 5 o'clock. Then a 2 o'clock Saturday game and a noon game on Sunday. Big games for the Hawks. It's even a bigger game right here. See if Iowa can't cut loose with a good at-bat here. Score a high volume of runs. Make a better game out of this. Trailing 10-2. And it's Grace Baines at the plate. Facing Autumn Pease. Here is an off-speed pitch that's called strike 1. Grace on the day hit a sacrifice fly in her last at-bat. Struck out in her first at-bat. 0 for 1 on the day. .217 hitter. Here is the 0-1 that's upstairs. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Grace hasn't had a hit since the first game of the Maryland series. That a single. Sophomore shortstop from Kansas City, Kansas. Here is the 1-1 from Autumn Pease. A pitch that's off speed and it's down and away. 2 balls and 1 strike. Pease took the loss. Took the win in yesterday's 5-2 win over the Hawks. Here's the 2-1 to Grace. Grace will lift it to the infield, and coming in to try to make the play, can't, is the first baseman, and they're going to call a foul ball. They say that she didn't touch it. She was going back. It was just a pop-up to the infield, and then all of a sudden she realized that she had to chase it down heading west because that wind was blowing it strongly. Dives for it, doesn't get it, and it rolls out of play. Now the umpires are coming together. I actually thought she touched it. It was really of the way the momentum from when it hit the ground to when it went out of play. Going to call a foul ball, but I could swear that she got that glove on it, tipped it away. The umpires are going to say nope. It's a foul ball. So that'll send Grace back to home plate. And now it's a 2-2 count on her. Two count on Grace Baines. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Working against the Autumn Pease. 10-2 game, Minnesota with the lead. Here is the pitch from Pease, and Grace will take a swing at a high pitch, and she's down on strikes.
Number 27, third baseman.
1 out.
DeSena.
Heading to the number 8 hitter, Amber DeSena. Steps to the right-handed batter's box. Amber on the day, 0 for 2 with a fly out and a ground out. Had a hit yesterday, which was a double. She also walked in yesterday's game. And 1 out. Here's the pitch from Autumn Pease to Amber DeSena. It's down and away. 1 ball and no strikes. Sophomore from Concord, California awaits the pitch. Here it is from Pease, an off-speed pitch called strike 1. Boy, Pease gets that momentum going forward with that strong arm speed and then just lets off of it at the very end. Freezes the batter at the plate. And it just floats across for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike on the sophomore third baseman, Amber DeSena. Here's the pitch from Autumn Pease, the senior. It's called strike 2 on the outside corner. So 1 ball and 2 strikes on DeSena. Here comes the pitch from Autumn Pease. And it's a pitch called strike 3 on the outside corner. Good spot by Autumn Pease. And back-to-back strikeouts here in the bottom of the 6th inning. For Pease. Again, she came in the bottom of the 5th inning, and that is her 4th strikeout in 2 innings pitched. That'll bring up Zoe Schulte. Looks at first pitch strike. No balls and 1 strike now on sophomore from Wentzville, Missouri. Been used primarily as a pinch runner this year, although she's pinch hit 3 times. She's starting here today. Here's a pitch that she takes a swing at, low and away. So she's down on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Maybe down to their last out of the game right here. Zoe Schulte at the plate, the left-hander, working against Autumn Pease. Pease gets the pitch, looks at the chart on her wrist. Here's the windup and a release, and it's well off the plate and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One and 2 on Zoe Schulte with 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the 6th inning. Here's the pitch from Autumn Pease, a pitch that she'll foul right back into the screen of the backstop. The count remains the same at a ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 again from Autumn Pease. And it's a pitch that Zoe will lift up to the infield, just drifting back, foul in territory, and making the catch, Sarah Kinch. And that will end this softball game. 10 runs for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, 2 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And a 6-inning game is the current status of this one. Minnesota wins games 2 and 3 of the series. The Hawks took game 1 Friday by the score of 9-8 on a comeback performance, losing yesterday 5-2 in 8 innings and losing today 10-2 in 6 innings. We'll have head coach Renee Gillespie up here shortly, talk about this game, and we'll get you ready for the trip to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Hawks will be facing the Nebraska Cornhuskers Tuesday. That's a 4 o'clock and approximately 6:30 start time for that doubleheader. And then Iowa returns home next weekend to face the Ohio State Buckeyes. 10-2 the win for Minnesota here today. Back with head coach Renee Gillespie when time allows.
For those interested in Sunday Run Day and Signature Sunday, please make your way to the third base side of the field. Please wait for instructions from staff members there. The field will be open for approximately 30 minutes. Thank you.
mean, yeah, thank you. Drop ball, drop curve, rise ball, drop ball, drop ball, drop ball, drop curve, change up, drop curve, drop ball, rise ball, change up, drop ball, inning. Drop ball, change up, rise ball, drop ball, drop curve, rise ball, rise ball, drop curve, drop ball, rise ball, drop ball, inning. Drop curve, drop ball, change up, rise ball, drop ball, drop ball again, drop curve, drop ball, 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 rise ball. Okay. Oh, that should be inning after that last round. Drop ball, yes. Okay. Ooh, that is confusing.
It was a 10-2 win for the Minnesota Gophers over the Iowa Hawkeyes. Minnesota, that was in 6 innings, and Minnesota scored in 5 of their 6 at-bats. Iowa tried to chip away at it in the bottom of the 4th inning to score a run, and one in the bottom of the 5th, but just not nearly enough to keep up with what Minnesota was capable of doing. And so Minnesota will go into their next games of the season with some momentum, having won 2 games in a row after falling to the University of Iowa in game number 1. After today, the Hawks Minnesota's going to host Nebraska, actually be in Nebraska next weekend, and then they'll be home for Wisconsin and Maryland. So they will be following the Hawks to Lincoln, Nebraska. Next weekend will be the Minnesota Gophers. Head coach Renee Gillespie is on her way here to our broadcast central. And Coach, certainly not the outcome that you wanted to see here today. There was a little bit of battle, but I think you made Minnesota earn everything they got.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Pitching-wise, we just weren't hitting our off-speed pitchers that well today, and we needed them against that strong-hitting team. I think that was the piece of the offense that really hurt us a little bit. Defensively, we're making good plays, just giving up a lot of hits. Came back in the 5th. We're struggling being able to get a hit on the board until the 5th inning, and get a little fire on them, but there's no reason we can't make small adjustments and be able to get better hits off a pitcher that we've seen 3 times.
Sure.
So we just have a lot of work to do.
Sure. Yeah. The Hawks had their chance. They had the bases loaded in an inning, and and chances to move those runners around. That's where we talked about. They step in and have to hit the baseball or hit the softball.
Right. You talk all the time about pressure as a privilege. That means you've earned it. You've worked hard. You deserve to be in that position to have bases loaded. And to be able to come out with a big outcome for it, and we're just not there yet. We're not in that position yet to understand how important that position is to be able to move those runners around and be able to score those runners. So, just a lot of work to do. I mean, like we talk about, we're young and we're just every day we're trying to get a little bit better.
So Denali did okay, in the circle, for a while. I think Minnesota was very patient with her, and they were able to get swing those bats and connect on some pretty good hits.
Yeah, and again, it was a change-ups that we knew we needed to have today, and in both cases, both Denali and Greer, we just didn't have that change-up that we needed for that strike. So
you have a very short time. I don't even know if you get a practice in before you got to head out to Lincoln. Maybe you'll get some hitting out there in Lincoln. But this is a learning experience from this weekend. You picked up the game Friday night. The loss of the last 2, they put in some, as much a good effort as they possibly can. Head out to play a pretty good Nebraska team on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, we head out on Monday afternoon for the trip out to Nebraska. We get a practice in that night, which will be good on their facility, and then being able to face them on the Big Ten Network on Tuesday for a doubleheader. We look at some of the players that really kind of stood out this weekend. Kalena Burns came out big. She all 3 games, I think she showed improvement. She was working hard offensively, and she came up big in both games on Friday and Saturday. So we're looking for her to kind of step up as our leader for this next series.
Yeah, no question. Kalena was one. You can name more. Nia Carter really did a nice job. Wasn't as powerful as she wanted to be. I think she was put in situations where she had to do the best that she could to help the team along. Briley, out in center field. They had some good hits out to left field. They got past Zoe, got past Riley Sheehy over the weekend. Tristan Doster at catcher, I thought she did a nice job. You had Marissa in there today, so all in all, I think you're still trying to find that team chemistry. I think, aren't you, a little bit in this lineup?
Yeah, which is interesting this late in the season. We should have it by now, and we saw it. We saw it on Friday, and they played well on Saturday, and it is just kind of finding that mix. We're solid in the 1 through 5. I feel like offensively they're working hard in that 1 through 5, and it's kind of finishing up on the 6 through 9 spots to have them come up in clutch situations. Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it is part of the season to go. So, all right, well, have a safe trip out to Nebraska, and we'll be broadcasting those games for you, but I'll just be doing them from back here.
We'll be listening.
Okay. All right, best of luck to you. Head coach Renee Gillespie with this Iowa Hawkeye softball team, losing game number 3 today to Nebraska by the score of 10-2 in 6 innings. The winning pitcher today was Autumn Levitt. She went 4 innings. She goes to 8-7. She gave up only 2 hits. A run, it was earned, and then she was relieved by Autumn Pease, who went the final 2 innings, gave up 2 hits and a run as well. The losing pitcher today was Denali Lecker. She went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 7 runs. 6 of them were earned. Walks a couple, and she struck out a batter. And then Devin Greer came in with the 2 1/3 innings, giving up 4 hits, 3 runs, and 3 earned runs. Weekend as it was, the Hawks will go to 1-8 in the Big Ten, 18-18 overall. Minnesota at 18-15 and 5-4 in the Big Ten. The Hawks will be at Nebraska on Tuesday in Lincoln. That's a doubleheader. That'll start at 4 o'clock, so I'll be talking to you a little bit before the hour of 4 o'clock on Tuesday for game number 1 of that doubleheader. And then the second game anywhere around 6:30, but 20 to 30 minutes after the conclusion of that first game. And then the Hawks will be home next weekend with the Ohio State Buckeyes coming to town. That'll be a Friday game that begins at 5 o'clock, Saturday a 2 o'clock game, and then on Sunday that will be a noon game. Ohio State and Iowa, that's right here at Bob Pearl Field. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast all weekend long. I'll talk to you again on Tuesday for the doubleheader with Iowa at Nebraska. That at a little bit before the hour of 4 o'clock. I'm Jerry Koala. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday right here on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.